Next summer, woo, look out, look out. I'm gonna have the biggest dump truck and it's not even gonna look right on my body. Welcome to Real World AIP, I'm Stacey, and today I have my final review of Bret Contreras' customized glute programming. After doing that for 5 months, my final take on it, final results, as well as what I'm doing now to actually get the results I wanted. I just have to come out and say it, you guys. Since taking everything I learned from Bret's programming and putting it together in my own programming combined with some new info I'm going to tell you about, I have put on 1 inch on my glutes in the last 6 weeks. Noticeable, yeah, my boyfriend's noticed, he's like really noticed, and I noticed, and like finally I'm getting the results I wanted, finally. So I'm gonna tell you why and what led to it and everything else. So anyway, I did the custom programming for 5 months. When I got my last custom programming, I just canceled it because once again, it was just like powerlifting stuff in there, like 3 sets of 3 deadlifts. I felt that it had a powerlifting bias. It was biased towards strength. Yeah, sure, when you train for strength, you're gonna build a little muscle as a side effect, not nearly as much as you would if you train for muscle on purpose, and vice versa. If you're training for muscle, you're gonna build a little strength as a side effect, but not nearly as much strength as if you were training for strength specifically. It's specific. So when I went to him, I wanted hypertrophy, muscle growth. That was my goal, not to get stronger. I will say that I got a lot stronger with Bret's programming, but I didn't care about being strong. I wanted my butt to look like it was the strongest butt in the world. I don't care how much weight I lift. And I just felt like it was biased towards that. Even in a lot of his like Instagram posts, he'll say, you know, just get strong, and the rest will follow. Your body recomp will follow everything. Get strong, strong, strong. But for me, I'm like, well, strength training and hypertrophy training are different enough that when I saw like that he programmed sets of 3 deadlifts, I'm like, all right, that's it. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm putting my foot down. I'm not a freaking powerlifter, and this is not going to get me the best muscle gains. It's not. It's gonna make me stronger. I'm done getting stronger. And the other thing, when I first contacted him, I was like, you know, I think I need a deload, or I just wanted some kind of periodization. And he was like, you don't really need that, you know, just go harder, ideally go hard year round. I need a deload, and I need some structure. I want blocks, I want periodization. I want to know that there's an end in sight, that there's a rest period. I want to resensitize my muscles, lower some of the fatigue that's built up. In the end, I did not gain any muscle. When I did my very first review after the first month, I put a 1/2 inch on, and I'm pretty sure it was a pump because it didn't last. I didn't keep that 1/2 inch. As I progressed through his programming, I lost the 1/2 inch. What I will say is that I couldn't have gotten the results that I have now without Bret and his information, because I dissected the 5 months of training. Now, I had already read Glute Lab, and I was using the rule of thirds and all that, but I took the programming that he gave me and I broke it down. I looked at the rep ranges he used, I looked at the different exercise groups he used, and I used that to model my own programming after. Every workout will have a hip thrust. Every workout will have a squat or a lunge. Every workout will have a hinge. Every workout will have abduction, usually in like sets of 20, sometimes 50, but usually 20. Then the one that he kind of changes, like depending on your goals or whatever, you can do either some kind of high rep booty burnout thing, or you can do some leg isolation, quads, hamstrings. When I reformulated my own programming based on his, I chose to go with the leg isolation instead of the booty burn. So I put 1 inch on my butt without doing a lot of that band stuff. The only thing I used bands for was abduction. Or I like to use a band like on a leg press to give it a little double torque, or like the hip thrust. But I mean, just not band only stuff, or body weight only, or high rep. Nope. Didn't do that. Now, according to Bret, he posted on Instagram, I'll put a screenshot here, the hinge is the least important of the glute categories for growth. So I'm like, well, why is this guy making me deadlift so much, especially if it's not even important? I took that into consideration. That's not a highlight of my programming that I made for myself. It's kind of like thrown in there for good measure. And then what I did when I reformulated my programming is I used heavily from this, my new Bible. And this is for glute training or for any training, anything. Whatever muscle your heart desires, Dr. Mike Israetel is my new hypertrophy guru. I bow to him. Dr. Mike put an inch on my glutes. This book is amazing, and I would only recommend it if you're like a trainer or a complete fitness geek, because it's just this kind of stuff. I love it. I love this kind of stuff. I used this to create my new programming. One important thing that Dr. Mike goes into is for hypertrophy purposes, there are no must-have exercises. You do not need to deadlift for hypertrophy. If you're a power lifter, you have to deadlift, but if you just want to grow a certain muscle, it doesn't matter what exercise you use. Pick the exercise that gives you the most feeling in the target muscle. He really hammers this point home. You want the target muscle. In other words, for me, it was the glutes. You want that muscle to be the reason you can't do any more reps. Not because your heart's pounding and you can't breathe, not because you're getting dizzy, not because your quads are on fire so you can't do any more squats. Well, then that's not your glutes limiting that. You want your glutes to be the limiting factor. Your glutes are screaming, they're on fire, they can't do one more rep. And that's why you had to stop. Everyone has different exercises that are gonna work for them. If you're deadlifting and you're not feeling it in your glutes, like for me, when I deadlift, I feel it in my traps, I feel it in my lats, like I feel it a lot in my upper body and hamstrings. My hamstrings get hit hard. I don't feel it in my glutes that much. Like, oh no, I just don't. For me, like a better hinge, which is one that Bret doesn't really use much, but the rope pull-throughs, I feel those in my glutes like all day. Like sets of 20 on those things, like, it's on fire. That's my limiting factor. So I basically picked all the exercises that work for me that get my butt on fire, and I structured my program around those, like the reverse V squat, or the banded leg press, rope pull-throughs, glute kickback machine with a pulse. Everything is over the 8 rep range. I'm not doing anything under 8 reps because I'm not training for strength. I'm training for freaking hypertrophy. Stimulus to fatigue ratio. You want to find exercises that stimulate your target muscle without fatiguing your whole entire freaking system. So something like a heavy low rep deadlift doesn't make sense for someone whose only goal is glute hypertrophy and doesn't care about strength. So here's the plan. Just like Bret's programming, I did 3 days. I added in how many reps in reserve. So how hard am I pushing? This is a 6-week periodized program. And then week 7 is a deload. You do half the sets and you do shave off a few reps too. You're accumulating volume throughout the 6 weeks, and you're doing that in the form of more sets, because how much weight can you add? How many reps can you do? Easiest way to add volume is just tack on another set. So I started with 3 sets of squats on week 1. On week 2 and 3 and 4, I got 4 sets of squats, and then on week 5 and 6, I got 5 sets of squats. This is just for Monday. And then hip thrust goes from 3 to 4 to 4 to 5 to 5 to 6 sets. So like when you're on the end of week 6, you're doing one workout's gonna look like 5 sets of squats, 6 sets of hip thrust, 4 sets of RDLs, 3 sets of abduction. So it ramps up, but then you see the light at the end of the tunnel, because you're like, okay, now I'm gonna have a week off. I'm gonna have a nice, easy, light week. And then when you come into it fresh, you don't go in gung-ho, you ramp it up. You ramp it up. It's all very scientific, and I'm not affiliated with him, and I don't have any affiliate links or any relationship with this guy, but he grew my glutes. In conjunction with Bret's info, I can't discount what Bret has contributed to it, more so through his free information than his custom programming, which didn't feel very custom to me. I feel like I've cracked the code. I just planned out my next cycle. Here's my new one. As you can see, we're going from RIR is reps in reserve. That's how hard are you pushing, how many reps are you leaving in the tank. So you start off nice and light. You know, I'm leaving 4 or 5 reps in reserve on week 1. By the end of week 6, I'm leaving nothing in the tank. Rep range is changing up. You know, I've got the squat category, the hip thrust category, the hinge, abduction, and then some kind of leg isolation. I've actually been doing leg extensions and leg curls. Maybe put some weight on my squat, maybe have a little more definition on the side of my leg. it's not sustainable to just go harder than last time forever, over and over and over and over and over. Without ever taking a break. I mean, I guess for most normal people, they'll just skip a day here and there, or they'll take a week off, or they'll go on vacation and they won't work out. But for me, I'm like, this is my plan. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna go hard. And I do that week after week, and then I feel friggin' exhausted and run down, and I need a periodized program. I need scheduled deloads. And I think a lot of the reason I got an inch of growth was because I finally resensitized my muscle. I gave myself a deload. That was the start. Before I started my 6-week program, I gave myself a deload. I did half the sets and I shaved off 2-3 reps on every set. I did that for a full week, and then I came in slow, 3 sets of each, and then I worked up. And I used all exercises that I felt a really good pump and mind muscle connection on. I got away with all the bandy, burny stuff. I mean, no, that's not true. My glutes were burning and on fire, but I wasn't doing like donkey kicks all day with bands. And I picked my exercises based on what would give me the best stimulus to fatigue ratio, based on Dr. Mike's recommendations. In the end, I would say, if I was gonna give advice to someone that was brand new to lifting weights, wanted to grow the glutes, I would say, get Glute Lab, buy Bret's book, Glute Lab. Learn the exercises, learn the rule of thirds, watch some of his free videos on YouTube, and then I would get the Renaissance periodization template. He's got a new women's template that's like $49, and you can do specialization. And by the way, on the Renaissance periodization website, they have a best glute training practices big article on the blog, and very similar to Bret's. It does cover how you should have a squat or a lunge and a hip thrust and a hinge and abduction and all the same good stuff, all the same good things. I would honestly go with the Renaissance periodization template for $49. Just check off glute specialization, because that's going to be periodized. It's going to have an accumulation phase if you don't want to do it yourself. If you do want to do it yourself, then get his book, Scientific Principles of Hypertrophy Training, in conjunction with Glute Lab. I felt for a beginner, that's gotta be so overwhelming though. This is something that tripped me up for a while as a beginner, is that lifting weights and weight training and strength training and bodybuilding and building muscle and hypertrophy training, I didn't even know what hypertrophy training was. That's building muscle. Most articles and or blogs or even books, fitness books, they kind of muddy them all up, or they talk about both all interchangeably, and then it makes you confused. It gets it all muddied. That's why I like this book is just principles of hypertrophy training. It's not about how to get stronger, how to be a power lifter, how to increase your squat by 100 pounds, or increase your raw deadlift, or just lift all the weight, or be a strong man. No, it's just like, here's how to build your muscle. It's not the same. The training styles are completely different. So if glute growth or any muscle growth is what you're looking for, strength training, it'll get you a little bit there, but nowhere nearly as efficiently as if you focus on muscle building, hypertrophy training. So it'll always be a mystery to me why I was programmed sets of 3 and 5 on deadlift. All right, it took a while, but hey, I got to go to the beach the first week in September with the booty that I was trying to build when I started the custom programming back in February. A little belated, but hey, better late than never. And next summer, woo, look out, I'm gonna have the biggest dump truck, and it's not even gonna look right on my body. I'm gonna probably have to stop training it and maybe focus on another muscle group at some point. I hope you're all happy and healthy and safe, and I will see you soon. Until then, be healthy.